I'd
So
already
that first rental property, did you buy that from a foreclosure or?
I no, my first rental property was actually my first house because we had multiple contracts fall through and we'd already closed on our
Uh,
next house. So I
okay,
was landlord by default. And
I get it.
after making all the mistakes, then I re-entered the market whenever I moved from Dallas down here to Houston and started buying rental properties with the purpose of them being rentals.
All right, welcome to REI 101. It is the last Monday of the quarter. What's today? June 29th, 2026 in the year of our Lord. We got Corey Boyer with us. Excited. Alberto, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, doing very well. Just not ready for this heat. I will tell you that it is just so hot outside, man. So,
It is
but
hot.
it's Monday. I've said this a million times. I love Mondays, and I'm ready for the new week.
It is. This is a set. This is really the first week of the third quarter. So this is when we start thinking about how we're going to end the year. Like big thinkers are starting now, right now.
Hmm.
How are we going to? What are we going to do in the next 90 days? That's going to ensure that those. Remember, we talked about those big goals back in November, December, and we'll hit that again. But right now, it's like, okay, you're at the halfway point. Are you halfway to your goals? If not, what are you gonna do about it? All right. So I'm with you. This is like mid year New Year's. Is that a thing?
I love the idea. I love the
Yeah.
idea, guys. I mean, but you are absolutely right. Like everything that we're looking at now, by the time that we get it closed and get it fixed up and on the market, it's right now.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, it's a good time to go back to that. I know a lot of us we made our goal sheets, our 4-in-1s or what have you, and do you even know where your 4-in-1 is? Is it hanging on your wall where you can see it, or is it in a folder or folded in a book somewhere? You forgot what book it was. So we're gonna do some deals. Albert, what have you been seeing, man? You staying in motion? Are you closing deals? Or are you seeing things kind of just
No, I'm
getting?
staying in motion. We're getting referrals. I'm seeing some properties that I'm tracking on HAR that are going under contract, which is pretty cool. A friend of mine, they're doing a flip. Gosh, I want to say it's in the Heights area, I think, or Memorial area. They just got a property under contract yesterday. So, hey, people are still selling houses, man. There's buyers and sellers out there. Transactions are happening.
They are, and what we've definitely found is deals are making it to the closing table when you are 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 quick to respond, when you're quick to address issues, anticipate problems that are coming because um, we are not in a market without challenges right now. But when you can get to the point to where you're anticipating those challenges, like just like deferred maintenance is a
Mhm.
big deal. We've been talking a lot for the past 6 months. Corey and I have had this conversation about how new construction is really dominating the market, and it's not necessarily because people prefer better quality. It's the condition. They just don't want to deal with, well, the roof is at the end of its lifespan, so now it's going to have to be replaced. So along those lines, being prepared for that, being ready to make a concession and being okay with that. And for agents out there, having that conversation with your client before you get under contract, so they're not going to be surprised when they ask for everything but this kitchen sink when you're under that contract. So
Yeah, I heard something over the weekend, and Austin, you probably know this already. Maybe you too, Corey. But when you're buying a house, and you get the inspection report back, whether it's a house that you plan to fix up or whatever the case may be. Austin, you could be representing people, but it's whenever that buyer is asking for repairs, it's really better for the buyer to get a concession instead
Yep.
of getting repairs because the
100%.
person that's selling that house, they're on their way out. You
Yep.
know, they're not going to be too concerned with the quality and the finish of those repairs that you're asking for. They're probably just going to do the bare minimum to save
Yeah.
as much money as they can when they're making those quote unquote repairs that you're asking for on your inspection report, right? So and I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it like that until this weekend. I heard an agent say, she encourages her clients, like, don't go for the repairs. Let's put a monetary value on all that and let's get a concession. And then if you want to, you come back and do the repairs because you're going to care about it a lot more since now you own
Yep.
the house and you're going to be living there. So, I learned something new every day. I never really thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
I
Yeah,
learned that
guys.
the hard way. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, guys. I was gonna say I was actually advising my my brother-in-law. He's buying his first house, and it's a house that water heater's 20 years old, air conditioning system's 20 years old. He's like, well, what should we do? I was like, well, AC is going to run you about 15 to 20 grand, and water heater is going to cost you a couple
Hmm.
grand. Ask for those dollars. They're like, well, why don't we just get the seller to fix it? And it's straight to your point. I said, they will buy the cheapest thing
Yep.
to clear that hurdle, and they do not care. They want out of this house so bad. They're going to give you the bare minimum,
Bare
and then you're
minimum.
stuck with it. So yeah, guys, be careful out there whenever you think that you're getting a good deal because they're going to do that. But also as a flipper, as an investor, we're out here in the market right now, and I mean, if you're flipping a house and it's got a 20-year-old roof, change out the roof.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
fix it. Like, this is gonna show up on inspection reports. If you don't have a proper budget, like if you have to cut your budget, I'm like, I see guys do this all the time. I'm sure you guys
Hmm.
did too, where that it's like, oh, it probably needs 40,000, but the deal doesn't really work unless we only put 30,000 in the budget.
Yeah.
Like, go find a better deal.
Yeah. You got to make a compromise. I learned that this lesson, have the seller, whether you're on the sell side or buy side, have the seller offer concession in lieu of repairs. The way that I learned that lesson from a real estate, from a broker's side, is I represented the buyer, and I think there was probably like plumbing repairs, or there was a list of repairs that we had the seller do. Well, we closed the deal, and 6 months later, my client's calling me saying, "Hey, these repairs weren't done well. We need to get these repairs done the right way." So who do I have to call? I can't call the contractor that did it work because the contractor was hired by the client. I can't call the client because the client was being represented by an agent. So I have to call the agent. And we know how fun it is to track down agents for some reason. So I finally get a hold of the agent, and the agent's whole perspective is, I already spent my money. I made the money and I spent it. 6 months have gone. I've moved on with my life. I don't want to deal with this. I'm
Hmm.
like, sorry, you still need to do the right thing and talk to your client. So then they have to go to the client. The client didn't even have the contractor's info. Didn't even know who the contractor was. So we had to go through all that mess, and it was just a tremendous amount of back and forth. That's how I learned that lesson: is just let the buyer handle the work, give them the money, let them do it. They'll hire somebody better. And if there's a problem with that work, the buyer has a direct connection with that contractor. And as a buyer's agent or listing agent, you don't have to get involved 6 months or 2 years later when that work, needs to be addressed. So yeah. Let's talk real quick about interest rates since we are at the end of June. We came into the month of June at a pretty high. It had been at like a 2 year, like a 1 year high. It jumped up to 6.53 coming into June, and then it dropped 6.48, and then it went up to 6.52. And then 10 days ago, it dropped back to the 6.4s. And guess what happened this week? For whatever reason, we're back at 6.49. So if you're waiting for those interest rates to drop before you make a move, Have fun with that because if you're counting on those rates to drop before you make your next real estate move, you may be waiting another 3 years because nothing's happening out there in the market.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it, man. That's it. So let's talk some deals. So Corey, thank you so much for joining us. We've been trying to get you on here for a while. We've done some interesting deals um, already. Why don't you tell everybody about who you are, what your angle is, like what role do you play in the real estate ecosystem?
Yeah, Austin, great to have me on here. I really appreciate the invite. You guys, like you said, we've been doing deals and hanging out, being in the real estate network for the last few years, actually. Yeah, I've been an investor buying single family houses for the last almost 18 years. I bought one house my first year, bought four houses the next year, bought 15 the year after that, and 23 the year after that, and bought between 20 and 30 houses a year for about a decade. Started buying small multifamily somewhere along the way. That was probably 10 years ago. I bought a handful of small multifamily, and by small, I mean literally like three triplexes, fourplexes, 8 units. A lot of the owner managed those type of deals, but I bought almost everything off market. Also in the middle of that, I've bought and sold at this point over 160 houses, rehabbed all of them with my guys in house. We've built a couple dozen houses. We're building duplexes for others. We have developed land, built a couple subdivisions. We've got a 137 unit multifamily that's shovel ready, permits approved, ready to go, and we're just getting ready to launch an industrial business park down south, down in Galveston County. So we've got a lot of things. I still flip houses every once in a while because now we're seeing foreclosures, but my role for a lot of guys is either it's primarily right now as a lender. Like I'm the primary owner, the principal CEO of the Republic Lending Company. I've worked with a handful of guys here in the network, and we're also finding some creative ways to do some land deals and things like that. I also, like I say, I'm still developing, so I still have several partners. I think one of them may be on here, maybe not. But that's something that we're doing. And like I say, we're also building houses for others. So we're going out there finding vacant land, building a house. Some guys are looking at them as long-term rentals. Some guys are looking to just flip them. So they're going to be doing new construction and putting it out there into space. So where I fit into this market, we're doing a lot, but it's a lot of the things that we've done dozens, if not hundreds of times, and really helping people. Austin, you and I were talking about, all the information's out there between Claude and chat and what we can find. Like, yeah, I'm a big believer, hey, I want to help people go out there and make money because then all of a sudden there's more smart investors out there.
Yeah, man. Okay, so that's a lot. So let's unpack this for first of all because you're a young man. You and I are probably about the same age. How do you go from like, did you start with flipping single family houses and then how many years did it take to where you're developing industrial business parks and 137 unit apartment complexes and you're acquiring land and doing multifamily, single family and industrial?
Yeah,
How does it like what was your first step?
first step was getting over the nervousness of owning a rental property. Um, Quite honestly, I became a landlord by default back in 2000, what was it, 2009? Because I bought my first house. I'm 46. So I bought my first house my first year out of college. I worked for JP Morgan at the time. And a couple years later I got married, had a kid, ready to go buy my second house. Well, this was during the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis,
Yeah.
whenever interest rates really went crazy. And I'd
So
already,
that first rental property, did you buy that from a foreclosure or?
no, my first rental property was actually my first house because we had multiple contracts fall through and we'd already closed on our next house. So I
Okay.
was a landlord by default. And
I get it.
after making all the mistakes, then I re-entered the market whenever I moved from Dallas down here to Houston and started buying rental properties with the purpose of them being rentals.
So did you know before you rented out your first house? Because first, we know there's a lot of people in this situation right now. Albert, I'm sure you've seen that where the market's going down. It's slow right now. Inventory is high. Unlike 2008, people have, we use that term, the golden handcuffs now. So we are seeing foreclosures, and I think they're starting to increase. But there's more people. They can pay their mortgage. They just need to move and they can't sell it for what they bought it for. And so now we got sellers that are just forced to lease their house out. So you were kind of in that situation where you were just, like you said, landlord by default. Did you have any aspiration before that point to jump into real estate investing, or did it just happen by accident?
I I think I did because I had taken some. My degree program was in financial planning, so I'd had a course in college on real estate investing. But man, I really didn't know that that was the direction that God was going to put me on,
Hmm.
and that's just what happened. So I got into it, and like I said, I made a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes that I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? But it's your first deal. You're going to make mistakes.
So what were some of the mistakes you made with that first deal?
Oh, I didn't do enough in-depth screening. Um, you know, I hate to say it, I trusted people. Um,
Okay.
like the one of my tenants, he was a pastor and his wife was a teacher, and they got in there. They had three kids, and like a month after they got in, she quit her job, and they were late every month
Mm,
afterwards. And I I would go in there and I was like, "Hey, this house is a wreck." They're like, "Well, it's not our house. We're not going to clean it."
yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I couldn't get them out fast enough. But yeah, it was just not having the process and procedures in place that
Mhm.
are, if you're going to do this professionally, like if this is truly something that you're going to pursue, you have to have process and procedures, and you don't make any sort of um, there's no exceptions.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a story. I think
Hmm.
Albert, you and I talked about it one time about every time that I start hearing potential tenants tell me a story, that I'm like, oh, this is going to be a problem.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 So then what? So you come down to Houston and now you have a cash flowing asset in Dallas, you said.
That's right.
So how did you get to the next part where you start, how long did it take you from that first rental to start acquiring more properties? Like what was your second step at that point?
So, so I built up a little bit of cash, not a lot, quite honestly. It was
Hmm.
it was less than $50,000, and I started buying deals, and we were doing hard money deals. So I would go into deals where that I was bringing initially, ten to $15,000, and I did a couple deals, and then we sold off that house in Dallas because by that point the market had changed a few years later. Made a little bit of money on that one, so reinvested those dollars, and then it's like Warren Buffett says, it just becomes a snowball effect.
Hmm.
So once we got a process in place where that it's, hey, buy it, fix it up, your traditional Burr method, buy
Yeah.
it, fix it up, and rent it out and repeat the process.
Right.
We got a couple good contractors. We started cash flowing. Taxes back then were a lot less. Insurance was a lot less.
Hmm.
And you could get decent rents. So we would do deals where we would cash flow $300 to $500 a month, and you start doing several of them. It adds up pretty dang quick.
Yeah. Yeah. And you start picking up momentum and you're able to start buying properties faster with each successful unit. So how long did you keep doing single family? Like at what point did you decide to make a shift into multifamily, or was it development? Like what was your next avenue?
It was really multifamily. It was small multifamilies. Like I said, it's not like I went from buying a handful of houses to jumping out there and buying a 50 unit apartment complex or a 150 unit apartment complex. Looking back, quite honestly, I probably should have. That's one of the things that
You should
instead
have
of
what?
I should have bought a bigger multifamily.
Okay.
I ended up with I had 53 rental properties at one point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was before the multifamilies, or that was included in
No,
the
well,
multifamilies?
that doesn't include the multifamily. So that's single family. I think there were a couple duplexes in there, but like that, yeah, I had 53 rental properties at that point. And I look back, and while that we were basically centered there in Galveston County, Texas City to League City, Dickinson, Lamarck, um, it was, I was living in Cypress at the time. I I didn't have a on-site, because you don't have on-site with single family. You didn't have any sort of real management.
Right.
So I was the management. And it really caps how far you can grow.
Hmm.
That's you bring up an extra point because like Albert and I have kind of hit on this too, and we do have clients obviously buying multifamily. Wh- It, unpack that for us a little bit. Why do you say that? Like, why do you say you should have started with bigger multifamily? I mean, isn't it easier just to go from single to duplex to fourplex and just gradually? And like, how would you, if you could go back? Because we got a lot of people that are ready to. I mean, Albert's probably a great example of somebody who's probably ready to start taking a longer
Yeah.
look at bigger multifamilies. I certainly am, and I know people on the call are. Like, if you could go back, at what point would you have bought something bigger, and how would
I
you have done that? Would you have sold all your single families and put all your eggs in one basket, or how would you have done that?
Yeah, I probably somewhere in the neighborhood of getting that eighth to 10 house. I would have I would have shifted over to a 50 to 60 unit multifamily that has on-site staff even part-time, just to the efficiencies of scale and having that buffer where that you now have staff that's looking after your asset daily, so that way you can focus entirely on the numbers and this being an operating business. It becomes so challenging whenever you're doing single family houses, and at the rate in which we were, where that we would buy a house every 10 to 14 days. Like every single one of them has to have its own insurance. Every single one of them has to
Yeah,
get its own utilities turned on. Every single one of them has to have its own loan. Or like even if you're doing cash on them, like every single one of them has its own unique construction budget, construction draw schedule,
yeah.
and every single family is a custom project.
Hmm.
So even if you've got all your materials selected, it still makes it extremely challenging to scale because you have to dedicate each project as its own unique little unicorn, as
Right.
opposed to multifamily where a lot of the floor plans are going to be the same.
So the big thing that I hear you saying with multifamily, it was the easiest way to leverage your time. What
Oh,
about financially? I mean, is it financially more profitable? Is it about the same, or is it a little bit less, but it's worth it because you get more time back?
yeah, it's really much more time and scalability. Um, it was something that for me, whenever we had that many houses, instead of me having to to leave Cypress and drive, for me to get to 8 houses, I would, I would have to take all day, because you spend even if you're only spending a half hour, 45 minutes just doing a check on a property. And whenever we had 40 or 50 houses at a time, it was like, hey, if we're going out there and we have to do rent renewals, well, with 48 houses, that means you're going to have a renewal. If you figure that's 4 a month,
Yeah.
so even if you're going down there to go check the property, make sure your asset's good, go bring somebody in there or show it or do anything else, that's a full day. And to hit 4 of those, okay, that's 4 days out of your month that are just completely gone. And that limits how much time you can spend on your new acquisition. That limits how much time you can spend on any routine maintenance and upkeep. You can bring staff on board, but then whenever you start looking at what your margins are, then you're managing staff and they've got drive time. Whenever you've got all your property in one location, we could go to the 8 unit that we had in Texas City,
Yeah.
and hey, we're checking out all 8 units in the span of about an hour.
Right.
Whenever somebody needs smoke detectors, well, odds are everybody needs smoke detectors. So
Do it all at one time.
my maintenance guy can go knock out all 8 units. Hey, we need to change out fire extinguishers. Well, guess what? We just order 8 fire extinguishers. We buy them in bulk. That's the other thing, is you start buying things in bulk, you get preferred pricing, you know what you're ordering because you just ordered the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's the efficiency, it's the scalability, it's the time, the things that you don't ever get back.
Right. Okay. So now you get to the point where you're flipping 160 units. How many units did you end up having at one time, and how long did it get you there before you started shifting into other asset types?
Yeah, it was about whenever I was like 30 or 40 houses in that that scalability really kicked in, and I started wanting to build new.
Mm-hmm.
So we started buying lots and like splitting lots, and then looking at buying larger land and splitting it up. And again, whenever you build new, you've got the house plans. You know what you're putting in.
Right.
It's a lot easier to control your budget, and you're hiring. For me, I mean, especially whenever you start building several houses at once, like you're hiring companies. You're not hiring Joe Schmo or Jose and his brother to go do these things that are just basically what we call a chuck in a truck.
So you were hiring the builder in the beginning?
No, I wasn't hiring a builder, but I was hiring quality contractors, better contractors, and able to get multiple contractor bids well before we ever even started construction. That's the other thing, is you guys know, whenever you're flipping, time is of the essence.
Sure.
So to get all your contractors in, we've done it enough where that we can do really well, but there's always that oh crap moment where you open up a wall and you realize somebody did a DIY project really bad.
Yeah. Oh, we know this.
Yeah.
We know all about this. We're dealing with this on some other properties. Not the
Yeah.
one in Texas City though. But
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff, whenever you can build it, the better the plan is, the better that you can execute. The clearer the plan, the better you can execute. All these things, that's the type of stuff that cost you more time on the front end. Like multifamily will cost you more time on the front end, but God, it saves you so much on the back end whenever you've got all your plans clearly there, ready to go and easily executable.
yeah. So did you start with building multifamilies, or were you building single families? And
We
were you doing
started
just like one unit on single lots, or were you doing small developments?
So we started out by building 2 houses at once. We took a single lot and split it in half. It was just the way that it was. It was a larger lot, and we were able to split it, and we built 2 houses at once, right
That's
there.
smart.
And again, back to the project management. hey, whenever you're building two houses at once, guess what? Your concrete guys are out there pouring two,
Two at a time.
two at a time. Your
Yeah.
plumbers are out there knocking out two at a time. Do you
Right.
think those guys are going to give you a better price break whenever they're doing two houses right next to each other, or if they're doing one in Texas City and another one up in, Conroe?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Like,
kind of like those economies of scale, right? So you're not building a 2,500 square foot home. It's like you're building a 5,000 square foot home because you're building them right next to each other. And usually, whenever you're buying things at scale like that, right, you can get some price breaks on your lumber package, right, your concrete, even your fencing and landscaping, like all those things
Hmm.
kind of they do add up on the projects. But if you got like a small development, Corey, like you're saying, like let's say it's just two single families, or you're building something on like a larger lot, maybe it's an 8 family or an 8 unit or something,
Right.
right? Your cost per square foot is going to be much lower on something like that than if you're just going to go build, a 15 or 1,800 square foot home someplace.
100%, but it also goes back to Albert, that time. Like
Hmm.
whenever you've got your project manager, instead of having them driving all over town, you've got them, they're right there.
Right.
And if something pops up, or this, like whenever you're waiting for an inspector to show up, hey,
Hmm.
if you're project manager, or if you're on site and you're trying to catch the inspector, like if you're right next door, it's easy to catch them. But if
Yeah.
you're way across town and you miss them, it could be a couple days before you can get them back out, or
Yeah.
like it just, those type of things that help expedite the project and keep your costs down.
Hmm.
That's good. That's very interesting. So talk about selling. So were you holding on to new construction, or do you
No.
believe just build and sell?
So I initially built with the plan to rent. This was a decade ago, before BTR was just wildly popular.
Hmm.
But a decade ago, 2015, 2016, the real estate market started taking off.
Yeah.
And whenever I look at when do I keep a house, when do I sell a house, like if my cash flow is eclipsed by what I could make in a flip, like, and I
Hmm.
mean cash flow for 3 years. So say you're making, for round numbers, call it $500 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. So make 6 grand a year. And in 3 years, I was going to make 18 grand, right? That's my cash flow. I'm not factoring in anything for appreciation, but still, if I could flip these new construction houses and make 30 or $40,000, yeah, I'm selling them right now.
Yeah.
Go do that again.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
That's a bird in the hand, right?
Yeah, nobody goes broke taking their money and taking their profit.
So what do we do next? We scale. So I'm building twin houses, and and we've sold these. I like this idea. And how easy is it for somebody without experience to get, like if you could go back and just build straight new construction, is this something you feel like you could have done looking back? Do you think that's something a new investor can do? Or did you have to work your way to that point?
You got to get your, like, if I was, if I would have been in the same mindset 15 years ago that I am now, I would just bring on a builder partner, somebody
Hmm.
that's experienced, that knows what they're doing. There's lots of guys out there doing it. And I would have brought on a builder partner. I mean, it's what we're doing now for guys that are smarter than I was at that time.
Yeah.
Um, I just, I don't know. I wanted to do it myself because I felt like I needed to know how it's done. And I don't know.
But
Do you remember the old saying, you don't really want to know how the hot dog's packed? Like, you, you, you don't need to know all of that as long
yeah.
as you know the person. You got, there's a great book out there, Who Not How.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you know the right who, the right people to lean on, then lean on them. Let their success become your
Yeah.
success. That's, so looking back, I'm glad I built them. It turned out well for me, but I could have, again, I could have done so many more if I had a good builder partner
Yeah.
out there and let them do what they do really well and let me do what I do well.
I agree. You don't need to know how the hot dog is packed, but I think it's important to know what is inside of that hot dog before you eat it.
Well,
And
I
I
don't
think
know, but that's okay. Um,
oh, 4th of July, man, we're gonna be eating chili dogs all day, man.
good
So,
for you. Good for you.
Up to your
but no,
eyeballs in chili dogs, right?
yeah, dude. I 100% agree with what you're saying. You don't have to be an expert at everything when you're. I mean, this is why we're on this call right now, is because we're surrounding ourselves with other people that know things, and that, everybody has a different angle and a different area of expertise. And, going back to my very first question, we all play slightly different roles in the ecosystem, the real estate ecosystem. Before we end, one of the roles you recently started taking on, I think this is going to be very interesting to a lot of our viewers, is private lending. At what point did you get to that point? And this is something I have some experience with too. Um, Tell us a little bit about that and some of the lessons that you're learning with that venture right there.
Yeah, no, I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, the Republic Lending Company really was just an idea a year ago. And I got with a couple good business partners, some guys that are also heavily involved in real estate. My business partner, he's heavily involved in commercial real estate. And because of it's kind of because of my construction experience. Again, God puts us in unique places for unique reasons. And because I had taken on all these projects, and with a lot of the foreclosures that had been going on here in the last year with the other hard
Hmm.
money lenders, I'd been remodeling other houses for them. And we got together and they're like, why aren't we lending right now? There's a lot of lenders that are falling down in the market that just aren't lending. And we saw a market need, but also the market experience. And what you were saying in the beginning, whenever it's, hey, all the information's out there. We don't need to run an education group where we're charging guys $10,000 or $25,000 just to sign up. I'm like, I've got spreadsheets. I can help plug them in so that they're safeguarded. I'll help check their budget as far as the construction, making sure they're not missing stuff, making sure that it's going to be a good deal for them. And really like how that experience of being an investor was something that those that have worked with us and people that know me know that's a big value add because I have seen a lot of things, and I'm not going to say I've seen all of it, but by God, I've seen a lot of stuff. So being a private lender is great. You get a chance to help people get through deals. We're helping a lot of first time guys, but we're helping a lot of seasoned guys do some really cool big things.
And I think also with your experience, both with flipping, buying and holding, and building, which I think is a critical one because it's not always easy. And Albert, you can speak into this as well, but to find funding for new construction can be a challenge, can be a
For
little
new
more
builders,
challenge.
yeah, for newbies, it's a little bit harder. You've got lenders that they'll ask they'll ask a few questions, right? And Corey can share too, but usually they want to see what your experience level is, right? And so if you're new to the ground up construction or development space, sure, you did 10 flips or 20 flips. Great. That's awesome, right? That's not the same as ground up
Right.
construction. So they kind of look at it, right? Maybe put some weight on it. But then, okay, great. Let's say you're bringing a builder with you on this
Hmm.
deal. Or at least you have a builder lined up for the deal. Well, they want to look at the builder's experience, right? And so that's super important. And we've had lenders, not a lender that we ended up going with because kind of, at the 11th hour, they wanted the builder to actually sign on the loan. And of course, the builder's like, no,
Wow.
I'm not going to do that. Right. We ended up using private money. But now, since I mean, I'm starting to see more new people want to get into ground up construction. I'm also starting to see lenders be a little more flexible with their terms, right? Not too flexible just because of the market and how challenging it is. They're not just like being careless. But I think if an investor has some collateral in the land, right? If they own the land outright, there's no liens on it. You know, the lender can kind of use that as like a down payment or refinance that into the construction loan, right? So we've seen that too. So it's kind of like the hard money space too, right?
Yeah.
With flippers, if you're a new flipper, it may be harder to get 100% financing, right? You want 100% of the purchase and the rehab, but you're brand new. A lot of hard money lenders might want you to bring 10%, you know, or they want you to have some skin in the game, right?
Right.
Is that kind of what you guys are doing, Corey?
Yeah, Albert, it's one, nobody's going, just flat out, nobody's doing new construction deals without money in the deal.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
like, I want to make sure everybody's real clear. Like, we're really, really competitive. We can do 50% of the dirt and 95% of the construction, which is about as competitive as it gets out there.
Hmm.
But to your point, we need to see that you've done it before, or your builder is somebody that's a known commodity, like
Hmm.
that we can depend on. And we see what the product is. That's part of that known risk versus the unknown risk. If we know who the builder is, or we know that you're building with somebody for those
Hmm.
fees out there, hey, if you've got a builder that they can point to, hey, we built 7 other houses like this in the last year and a half, awesome, let's roll.
Yeah.
Uh, but if it's like, hey, my uncle that built a house in North Carolina a decade ago is going to help me.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's probably not what we're looking for.
Right.
That being said, I can help guide you guys to different things that's going to get you across that, but you got to be willing to understand that you're learning. So learning takes time, and you got to be able to take recommendations from people that have been there. And that's
Mhm.
what you're saying, Albert, is being there and accepting that information and being able to work with that. That's what I'm here for, and that's what I like about
Got
what.
it. My aha right now it is, or my question is, how big of a difference does it make when the builder is a partner? They're basically putting skin in the game. And is this, to me, it sounds like at this scale, it's becoming more common to see this. How big of a difference does it make when the builder is actually putting skin in the game there?
Yeah, obviously that's a big deal. I mean, if they're willing to sign on the note, then that's a really big deal, because
Mhm.
that's something that I don't really care how you guys split your profits. That's your business call. But if a builder that's built 10 houses in the last 2 years is your business partner, and he's building the same type of house that you're going to build, yeah, from a lender's perspective, that de-risks the deal exponentially. And also keep in mind, it's what you're building.
Right.
If you're building an 1,800 square foot, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house with a 2 car garage in Pearland, great. Love that deal. We're all over it. We're doing deals up in Montgomery, in Tomball, things like that. Love that. If you say for your first deal, you want to go out there and build a $1.8 million house in Spring Valley, and you've never ever built a house before, you've never built anything like that, we're going to have a tough call.
Mhm.
Uh, that's going to
Yeah.
be a tough sell there. You better have somebody like on your team that's done that or done something extremely similar to it in the very recent history.
I wish we had more time because I really want to look at more deals and go through some deals because I mean we can spend hours just looking at just land deals, for instance, or multifamily, small multifamily or larger multifamily. And I know you have a lot of deals. Um, let's stay connected, Corey, whether it's development and building, whether it's partnering or private lending. How do we get a hold of you? How do we get in contact with you today?
Yeah, guys, real easy. My email address, I'll type it in here in the chat. Let's see. It's Corey at Development of Texas. For those that are looking for build or partnering deals. And if you're looking for lending, go to republiclending.com, republiclendingco.com. Sorry about that. And that'll all be in the chat here momentarily. Sorry, got to put the glasses on. I got old. But yeah, reach out to me and I'll tell you what, for those guys that are on here, my phone number, my direct cell number, it's 832-525-1633. Again,
Got it.
you can call me direct. You can find different numbers online, but call me direct. Coming from your group, Austin, and Albert, like happy to help anybody in the network.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Corey.
Thanks for your time.
Albert, anything else?
No, this is good. It's very it's always great to kind of hear someone with the level of experience that Corey has with not only multifamilies, but kind of cutting his teeth on all those single family homes, right? And then just trying to and then successfully making the transition to multifamily and now lending. It's really great to hear his perspective. So I don't have any other questions, man. I thought this was very informative, man. Thanks
That's
for joining,
good.
Corey.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing your story with us, Corey. And again, thank you everybody for listening. Don't forget, we are on YouTube and Facebook and Spotify and Apple. So please support the channel. Hey, we just reached 201 subscribers. So
We need
if
to,
you
we need to 10x that, buddy.
we are 10x July 10x going to go to 2000 in July.
Let's
So
go.
we have a blog now. So look at us at checkmatere.com or search for REI 101. And until then, it's my brother Alberto Medellin. Corey, thank you so much for being with us. And I am your friend Austin from Houston. Bye.